Hello all. So today we are continuing our conversation in chapter 10 on physical education and pedagogy. Today we're talking about curriculum models. So follow along with me. I'm doing things a little bit differently in order to add more closed captioning so that you have that capability. All right. So as physical education teachers develop their curriculum, a teacher's philosophy, along with the program goals and objectives that influences the focus of instruction. Teachers need to ask themselves if they are more focused on skill and motor competence, cooperation and problem solving, or developing a personal fitness plan. Each of these foci align with the national standards. However, how instruction is delivered to students may differ. Thus, curriculum models have been developed by researchers, teacher educators, and physical education teachers over the past 20 years. They believe these curriculum models should be focused, theme-based, and represent a particular philosophy. Throughout this section, a brief introduction to the following curriculum models will be provided: skill themes, personal and social responsibility, teaching games for understandings, and the tactical games model, sport education, fitness education, adventure education, outdoor education, and cultural studies. As you read about each of the models, it's important to remember that there is not a one-size-fits-all model for all content taught in physical education. If teachers focus on sport-related games, the teaching games for understanding and sport education models might be considered. Whereas if the focus is on developing locomotor, non-locomotor, and manipulative skills, the skill themes model should be the framework in which they base their planning. The skills themes approach considers the developmental model is implemented in elementary school physical education. This approach has significantly evolved over the past 40 to 50 years. The skill themes approach originated in Great Britain, is based on Ralph Laban's movement analysis framework from the 1940s. This framework focuses on movement categories such as body awareness, space awareness, effort, and relationships. And it is the concept, these movement concepts and skills are utilized in games, sports, gymnastics, and dance are a few of the bases of the model. Movement skills and concepts are the basis of the model. Basic skills focus on performance and concepts, describe how the skill is going to be performed. There are 4 phases included in the skill themes approach. Basic skill, which includes the mastery and achievement of the critical elements of the skill according to the age and developmental level of the skills of the students. Combinations. These are additions of other skills and movement concepts once the basic skills and critical elements are mastered. And then putting the skill into context. These are the skills, the movements, and combinations performed in a variety of different contexts. And then the culminating activity, which is typically the application of a skill in a different content area within a game or sport or gymnastics and dance. So if we were to look at it from the basic skill, learning, let's say a tennis stroke, you learn that tennis stroke in the beginning where you're hitting against, or you're hitting the ball and it's going over the net, you're doing that singly. Once you start to add combinations in of a forehand and a backhand, and then actually adding in the serve, those types of things, then you're starting to put them into context, in a different context. So you're playing little against a partner, and then adding game situations in with it as well. The skill themes approach creates opportunities for all students to learn through developmentally appropriate skill theme progressions. Skill themes progress from simple to complex. All students may engage in the same skills and concepts. However, teachers will need to differentiate instruction according to the student's skill development. The personal and social responsibility model focuses on the development of the whole student, which includes how students think, feel, and interact with others. The model embraces students as a whole, provides them with a voice, allows them to make decisions on their own, and places less emphasis on skill development and academic achievement. This model was initially developed for teachers to use in traditional classrooms and educational settings. However, In the 1970s, Don Hellison was the first educator to study and implement PSRM in physical education. The goal of PSRM is for students to take more responsibility for their personal and social development in physical activity settings, in both in and out of school. Hellison's model is widely used in elementary school physical education programs as elementary school students learn how to have respectful behavior and take responsibility for their actions. However, many secondary school programs integrate PSRM into their curriculum. Teachers and students can assess their personal and social responsibility based on 5 different levels. Level 1, where they are respecting the rights and feelings of others. Level 2 is about their participation and effort in the physical education classroom. Level 3 is about self-direction. And then level 4 is helping others and leadership. So you've mastered the skill and now you're helping others to master the skill. And then level 5 is outside of the gym. So here you're taking it to your family and getting them involved with the activity. Level 1 is the lowest and most basic, where students have self-control, whereas level 5 is the highest and most challenging, where you're being a role model. Teachers can create laminated posters of the levels and place them on bulletin boards and gym walls, making them visible for students to see. As teachers provide instructional strategies that center on personal and social responsibility, students can self-assess which level they are at within each lesson. Teaching games for understanding is a problem-based approach to games teaching. When you played sports and physical education, did you ever ask your teacher, "When are we going to play a game?" Were you taught skill after skill long before you ever played a game? 30 years ago, the answers to these questions were most notably yes. This led 2 teacher educators from England, David Bunker and Rod Thorpe, to develop a different approach to games teaching, which they named TGFU. The original TGFU model was based on modified gameplay that set up tactical problems for students to solve with different skills and movements. According to Mitchell and Oslin, tactics are decisions about what to do in response to problems arising during a game. In 1997, Griffin and Mitchell and Oslin revised the TGFU model to be more user-friendly for teachers, and they named it the Tactical Games Model, TGM. The goal of the model is to improve students' game performance by combining tactical awareness with skill execution and increasing students' interest and excitement about games. So giving your students an idea of what to watch for. If someone's planning on going to the basket in basketball, knowing to watch their hips or watch their feet. Giving them some tactical awareness is kind of along the lines of what this model is about. Because the focus of both models is on solving tactical problems in sport-related games, a games classification system was designed to group similar games together based on the problems that needed to be solved, which include invasion, such as basketball and soccer, or maybe it's a net and wall game like volleyball or tennis, striking and fielding, softball and kickball, and target like golf or bowling. Here's an example of how games are similar within each classification. In a game of basketball, Team A is trying to invade Team B's territory. In games such as soccer, hockey, and football, which is, In a game of basketball, Team A is trying to invade Team B's territory in order to score, while Team B is trying to prevent Team A from scoring. The same is true in games such as soccer, hockey, and football, which is why they are all classified as invasion games. Although different movements and skills are needed on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball, or puck, in each of these games, the tactics to score and prevent scoring are similar. The tactical approach to games teaching includes a game, practice, game, instructional format. This format begins with a modified game. Game 1, to set up or expose the problem the teacher wants students to solve by setting game goals, conditions, and a scoring system. Then the teacher brings the students together to ask them thought-provoking questions to guide them to solve the tactical problem. Once students have solved the tactical problem, the teacher designs a game-like practice task that emphasizes the solutions to the tactical problem. After students have had sufficient opportunities to practice the task, they play another modified game, that would be game 2, to see whether their skills or movements improve during gameplay. Improved game understanding and game performance is a primary focus of the TGFU and TGM models. These are great models to use in teacher education as well, and something that you see in a couple of our classes in the teacher education model or curriculum. The sport education model was first developed by Daryl Seidentop in 1984 to create an authentic sport experience for students in physical education that is developmentally appropriate and to provide opportunities for boys and girls to participate equally. The SEM models genuine sport experiences enjoyed by athletes. The overall goal of the model is to educate and develop students to be competent, literate, enthusiastic sports persons. SEM can be implemented as early as 3rd grade and at middle and high school levels. The main features of the model include the seasons, team affiliation, formal competition, record keeping, a culminating event, and festivity. Seasons include longer units between 15 and 20 lessons to provide students enough time for teams to practice together and compete against each other and other teams in the class. Team affiliation can be developed since students are placed on the team for the entire season. This provides teams time to learn how to play and interact together as they work toward a common goal. Formal competition includes contests in formats such as preseason and regular season play, tournaments, and leagues. All games are played according to a schedule designed by the physical education teacher. Record keeping primarily includes statistics taken by teachers or students during formal competitions. Records can include shot attempts, batting averages, and points per game. These statistics can provide feedback for teams to help guide them in areas of the game in which they need to improve. Each season ends with a culminating event such as a championship in sport-related games or a final competition in gymnastics and dance. Normally, a winning team is declared in the culminating event. Festivity is included throughout the entire season as groups select their own team names and colors at the beginning of the season, take pictures or create posters that represent their teams, and perhaps even include an awards ceremony at the conclusion of the culminating event. This is very much the model that we use oftentimes with athletics and that we're preparing for competitions. Fitness education is a broad and general term that encompasses the various ways physical educators can incorporate fitness and wellness content into physical education programs. Fitness education can include units on the health-related components of fitness, walking or hiking, or weight training. Teachers may choose to include fitness during class warm-ups as Fitness Fridays or integrated throughout other games and activities. And all of these units, the overall goal in fitness education is for students to develop knowledge and skills to be physically active for a lifetime. This is a model that we use with the Strength and Conditioning for Women class. The most formal approach to fitness education is the concept-based fitness and wellness model, where students engage in classroom discussions, laboratory activities, and physical activity experiences. The goal of this model is the development of an understanding of physical activity. That is, that students learn how to develop and execute their own physical activity programs in which they can participate in and out of school. The health-related components of fitness, goal setting, nutrition, stress management, program development, and self-assessment are concepts taught at the secondary school level in the concepts-based fitness and wellness model. In physical education programs where students have physical education every day of the week, teachers will need to decide how to divide the classroom-focused and activity-based lessons. Laboratory experiences should involve the students in active learning and self-evaluation, where the classroom lessons should focus on cognitive learning and application. Collectively, the laboratory experiences should integrate and reinforce the concepts taught in the classroom lessons. Whether fitness education is integrated with other curricular approaches and content or stands as the defining curriculum, fitness education is important. And as obesity rates continue to rise and physical activity levels decrease across the lifespan, it's more important than ever for students to learn fitness, physical activity, and wellness concepts and how to apply these principles in the development of their own physical activity and personal fitness programs. For students to be active outside of school, they need to be able to develop physical activity programs based on their own fitness levels and needs. Adventure education allows students to learn about themselves and their peers as they take on individual and group tasks and challenges. And it's actually the concept that we utilize with our outdoor adventure class. It's one that's typically on the sport management model, and a lot of the students just really enjoy the class itself. In adventure education, physical education teachers act as facilitators while students collaborate and problem solve with one another to accomplish a task. Teachers support their students and ensure safety. However, students play a major role in their learning. A key component of adventure education is self and group reflection to discuss how tasks were accomplished and how importantly they felt throughout the different activities. The most widely known student-centered adventure project education program integrated in physical education is Project Adventure. This is based on 5 philosophical concepts of challenge, cooperation, risk, trust, and problem solving. These concepts can guide students to develop personal goals in regard to achieving a particular task, such as climbing a 25-foot climbing wall, walking across a high ropes course, or feeling safe during a trust fall. Physical educators can base their instruction around the following 3 essential elements: the experiential learning cycle, which is the learning process that begins with the learning experience, then proceeds to observations and reflections, such as what happened, followed by abstract concepts and generalizations, so what, and concludes with application and transference of the lessons learned to other adventure-based activities. Now what? The full value contract is designed by group members, and they agree to a contract in regard to the behaviors they feel should be demonstrated among all group members throughout the task, activity, or unit. Challenge by choice is for the students within a lesson or activity. They choose which task they want to perform and the level of physical or emotional risk they would like to take. Adventure education provides students with a variety of opportunities to take on challenges, gain support, build trust, problem solve, cooperate, reflect upon their experiences, and most importantly, learn through the experiences they undertake within an adventure-based unit. When you think about outdoor activities such as backpacking, orienteering, snowshoeing, and kayaking, do you consider them activities that can be implemented into physical education programs? Hopefully, your answer to this question is yes. Although some of the activities can be costly, such as kayaking, and will need additional funding from the school or grants awarded, others have minimal to no cost, such as hiking. Comparable to other curriculum models, outdoor education can lead to increased physical activity for all students. Outdoor education is similar to adventure education as they both focus on personal and group development, teamwork, trust, and taking on risks and challenges. The key difference between the 2 models is that outdoor education occurs in the natural setting where teachers and students have little to no control over the environment and potential hazards that may arise. Dealing with hazards such as severe and unexpected weather, variable terrain, and wildlife must be discussed, researched, and assessed before students embark on an outdoor excursion. Outdoor education places more emphasis on skill development than adventure education does. However, the premise of both models is a student-centered experiential learning process. Outdoor pursuits have considerable potential to provide students with enjoyment and appreciation of the great outdoors. Over the past decade, Mary O'Sullivan and Gary Kinchin have developed and implemented a cultural studies curriculum model on physical education. This model significantly differs from the models discussed previously in this section, as this model emphasizes students' development as literate and critical consumers of sport, physical activity, and the movement culture. This is defined as the infrastructure, norms, practices, policies, and values associated with sport, recreation, and physical activity at the local, national, and international level. In other words, the goal of this model is for students to be able to observe, analyze, and critique or question and challenge physical activity and sport issues and topics in a variety of contexts. The cultural studies model comprises 2 components as learning experiences occur in both the classroom and the gymnasium. The first component is for teachers to select a specific content area, such as games, dance, or track and field as the physical activity instructional element of the unit. The second component of the model is for students to engage in group and class discussions, research projects, journal writing, and presentations. The classroom portion of the model is critical because this is where students learn to recognize the role and meaning of sport and physical activity in their lives and the wider community in which they live. The cultural studies model provides students with an in-depth understanding of the social issues integrated within a sport and physical activity culture. In today's society, where most of our knowledge and understanding of the world is influenced and constructed by our society, it is important for students to become critical consumers of the messages delivered from these societal influences. And then these are just some of the curriculum models that we discussed. The skill themes, which is developing competence and fundamental movement skills and concepts with the locomotor, non-locomotor, and manipulative skills at the elementary level. Personal and social responsibility tends to look more at assigning students more responsibility for their own personal and social development and physical activity settings, both in and outside of school. And this is important at both elementary, middle, and high school levels. The teaching games for understanding and tactical games model helps to improve students' game performance by combining tactical awareness with skill execution to increase interest and excitement about games and sport. And this is taught again at the elementary, the second and higher, middle school, and high school as well. Whereas sport education is one that it educates and develops students to be competent, literate, and enthusiastic sports persons through playing sports and undertaking various roles within the sport environment, such as coach, manager, official, and player. So they get to see the different areas. Being an official can give them a different understanding of the rules associated, but also dealing with difficult people. And the grade levels for this are elementary, and then middle and high school as well. And then fitness education is one that uses many different approaches to incorporate fitness and wellness content into the physical education program by developing students' knowledge and skills to be physically active for a lifetime. And this is, again, good for all, elementary, middle, and high school. Adventure education involves activities that promote holistic student involvement, physical, cognitive, social, and emotional, and tasks that involve challenges and cooperation. So again, for all grade levels. And then outdoor education involves personal and group development, teamwork, trust, and taking on risks and challenges within a natural setting, which is typically an outdoor environment. Again, good for all grade levels. And then the cultural studies, which helps to develop knowledge to observe, analyze, and critique physical activity and sport issues and topics in a variety of contexts. That's typically more for your middle and high school level students. So in summary, curriculum models have been developed by researchers, teacher educators, and physical education teachers over the past 20 years to provide teachers with different approaches to delivering instruction to students. These curriculum models include skill themes, personal and social responsibility, teaching games for understanding, and the tactical games model, sport education, fitness education, adventure education, outdoor, and cultural studies. Effective teachers use a variety of pedagogical skills and strategies to ensure that their students are appropriately engaged in relevant activities a high percentage of the time. They hold positive expectations for their students and create and maintain a classroom climate that is warm and nurturing. Salient teacher behaviors can be divided into several broad areas of organization, communication, instruction, motivation, and human relations. And we'll actually be talking about that in our next session where we'll be looking at assessment and accreditation. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day today. I look forward to talking with you more. We'll finish up part 3 of Physical Education Pedagogy, Chapter 10, next time. Have a great day today.